being stuck. And the way I talk about it is we often, when we're stuck, try and solve this. I use the phrase from the couch, and it's just not solvable from the couch. I love the way that you talked about it, about getting going. It's not about things coming to you. It's about going hunting. I'm wondering if you can help us understand that.
I'm coming at this in that section through the lens of decisions, but I think you're talking almost more broadly about action and the idea that like it's this strange dance where like you can't think your way into action.
Yeah.
And there's a famous phrase about how you can't think your way into new ways of acting, but you can act your way into new ways of thinking. So the lens of decisions, I think, is useful here, just because I think we commonly think about decisions as things that sort of come along, that you're sort of going through your life and there's a decision you have to make, right? Like, do you accept this job offer? Do you there's an opportunity for you to move cities, or should you ask this person to marry you, right? There's these kind of like big moments that sort of come at us. And on some level, I think a lot of the decision making literature, the books on how to make a good decision are sort of assume that, right? It's like, let's assume the decision is here. Now, how do we approach it and come up with the right lead it to the right conclusion? Um, but actually, if you think about what it means to be a finite human who is always choosing, right? Whether we like it or not, every moment is always a choice to do one thing rather than other things. I think there's a case to be made that decisions are much more sort of integral to the fabric of every moment of action, and that it's actually quite useful to approach them as things to go and find, right? To sort of go and to go and look for, because then there's this sense, and I use this all the time, right? There's a sense that if you're stuck, say, in an area of your life or a particular project, looking in the mess and the morass of that project for some decision that you could take, some set of options you could close down, even if they're very small things, has this sort of extraordinary power, right? Because you're sort of falling in line with the truth about reality, which is that you're always choosing anyway. So I give in the book this example that is perhaps a little bit elementary in context of your work and people in the audience, but anyway, I think it's good because it's so down to earth. If you're preparing to launch some project that requires a website, a decision you could make is which platform you're going to use to launch the site, right? A very mundane question, but one that in some sense is hard to back out of. Not impossible, but like if you go down that avenue for a while, it's going to be annoying to have to port it over somewhere else. And that's just an example of something so mundane it doesn't even seem like a decision. But like when you make that decision and very slightly alter the reality in which you now live, there'll be some other small decision to be taken. Just to sort of drive the point home, I'll give one other example from the book, which is like if somebody is in a job that they think they might want to leave, but they haven't thought about it, they haven't told anyone about this yet, right? It's just a sort of private doubt. We're not talking about grand gestures like finally deciding whether to march into the boss's office and shout, "I quit," right? Talking about something as tiny as reaching out to one friend who you think might be the most useful person to talk to about it and inviting them for coffee. That's actually a decision because you've gone from it being purely private to it's got a role in the world now, these doubts that you've been experiencing, and it's hard to back out of that. And just moving from one thing to the next, even at that very incremental level, because you've like closed off some of the paths that theoretically stretched ahead of you, such as the one where you never tell anybody about your doubts, things will change, right? Because you'll be in a new environment, there will be forward motion, there'll be momentum. And I could give a million other examples, but you get the picture, I think.